to show you a new scrapbooking tool that I just recently purchased. I see these things at the store and they catch my eye, so I feel like I have to try this. What this is it's called an alphabet punch board. It's made by We Are Memory Keepers. Here's the package that it came in. I got it at Hobby Lobby. It was a little pricey. The price on it is $35.99, so of course I used my 40% off coupon and got it for $21.59. What this does is it makes all the letters in the alphabet and the numbers. You can see some of them right down here. The advantage to this is it's actually quite clever on how you can do your letters, but you are stuck. This is the only size that you can make, is this particular size right here. I bought it because I got my house up for sale, trying to sell it on my own, and I wanted to make some open house signs, for sale by owner signs, and I wanted the letters to be pretty good size. I do have a Cricut, I could use that, but of course I saw this and I just felt like I had to try it. So what you get is I'll turn this around, you get this board. And on the board, you have, this is punch, and it has two different, it has kind of a pointed punch here, and then this is actually a curved punch. You also have this punch, and it looks like a D. Both these two are stationary. Then what you have is you have this little cutting tool right here. This is the little container that'll hold it, and you do some of your cutting in this. This lifts up just like this, and this is where you go ahead and cut your letters out. What you have, and I'll see if I can show this to you, is you have little kind of lanes here. One of them has a curved edge, which is this one, and then the other one has a straight edge. So when you use your little tool, you have, I always get confused with this camera, you have kind of this little round thing and a square thing. The rounded edge here is where you put, of course I'm not doing this right, is you put the round part in. Oh good, it's not even working. And I was cutting out a bunch of letters. Okay, sorry about that. Here we go. You put this in the round part, and the cutting will be in here. So I do this wrong all the time. It does take a little while to get used to it. It does need to face in the right direction, because if you put it the wrong way, as you could see by my fiddling, it didn't seem to want to work. Anyway, you can put this back in here. What you do is you need to use 3 by 5 inch pieces of paper, and I cut some out on just using my paper trimmer. These are 3 by 5 inch, and I was kind of frustrated because on here where you do some of your cutting on this, where you need to line stuff up, you have these lines right here. And when you use this to punch various things out on your letters, especially this one, you need to line them up with some of these lines here or some of these lines here. Well, it didn't seem to want to do that, so I was getting a little bit annoyed until I actually took some time to read the directions and found out that you can cut your 3 by 5 inch pieces of paper right with this tool. You also get this booklet, and it goes through and it shows you all the letters that you can cut out. And the most important part of this is you need to pay attention to the little pictures in here, because depending on your letter, this little kind of D thing, you have to make sure that you're facing it in the right direction when you're cutting your letters out. I did like the punches, but I did find myself somewhat frustrated with this. I've used kind of cutting things like this before, and I do think that sometimes they can chew up the paper, and I did find that when I was using that. Here's an H that I tried to do, and you can see it kind of chewed it up right here, so I wasn't real pleased about that. And when I was talking about lining things up, if it isn't lined up when you start doing some of your other cutting, you don't get a real straight shot right here. So that is important. It did cut out some very thin chipboard, did all right, but you can see it does still kind of have some kind of chewed up points. But I'm not too worried for my signs, so I wanted big letters, so I had them. But the other thing you're probably going to need is a scissors too, because if you need to do a little trimming, you're going to go ahead and need a scissors. So what I thought I would do is actually demonstrate. I'm going to take this off here. I'm going to cut out an R. And I haven't actually cut an R out before, so I'm going to go ahead and try to cut out this R. So I got a piece of red cardstock. I'm going to slide it in here. And then I'm going to use this piece right here to cut. And again, remember where I talked about making sure you got the little round one and the rounded edges. Go ahead and do that, and you slide it across. Then you're going to move your red paper. There's a line right here that maybe isn't abundantly obvious, but it says 1 inch. You can put your cover back down, and you're going to slide it like this across the top portion, just like that. And you get a really nice 3 by 5 foot. 3 by 5 inch piece of paper. Okay, so now I want to try to cut out an R. So I'm going to go in my little booklet and find the letter R, and it's right here. So what it shows me to do is along here also there's some lines that I don't think you can see them that well, but there are some lines, and it tells you exactly how to line up your letters. So I'm going to punch that one out, and you're going to get something that looks like this. So then this is where you need to pay attention to how it tells you where your D's are, because you need to turn this over and make sure your D, and I've got to look at this to make sure your D is facing the right direction, and it is. So I'm going to punch it out. So I'm going to have something that looks kind of like an outlet cover. So next it shows me to put this in underneath, whoops, and again with my D's pointing, the curved part pointing towards me, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to use my cutting tool, and I need to cut this part and this part, the center part's right out here. So when I pull that out, and again, see, I need to do a little trimming, I kind of get something that looks like an R. So the next thing it shows me to do is put this, and I want to do it like that, put this in. There's 2 circles right here, and you want to line the middle part of the R up with these circles, and when you push down, it makes that little dent for the R, and then you go ahead and put it in right here, which is going to curve it. And here's my R. Not too bad. And if you want to get fancy, right here in between these 2 circles, you can put your letters down in there. And this is about as fancy as this gets. Go ahead and punch in this little kind of pointy punch. And you have little kind of points at the end. Again, you are limited to strictly this size. You can't change it. I kind of thought maybe I could adjust the size of the letter, but no, you can't. Would I recommend it? If you do a lot of signs, or you do a lot of banners, you want to have like a big happy birthday banner or Merry Christmas banner or stuff like that, these letters would be pretty good. But if you just need it for one little project, I don't know that $35.99 is worth the price of it. Even with your 40% off, it was $21.95. It depends a lot of times on the paper. If you're using maybe not the best quality paper, the little cutter can really start to jam it up or eat it up. But what I discovered is if I started cutting and I felt a little tug or it was jamming up, I'd stop and take my cutter and put it over here and go the opposite way, and it did seem to help. If you get one of these, the best bet is to kind of play around with it with some paper that you're not too worried about if you mess it up, because I tried to make some letters and I didn't pay attention to the directions and I did get them wrong. But if you do want to make a lot of banners, letters, this would be a great little thing. But you are limited strictly to this font and this size of letter. There you go. Let me know what you think.